So friends, welcome again and a happy new year to all. We are studying chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita. And in the last class, we studied the first 5 verses. And as the chapter opens, Arjuna opens with a question and he asks Krishna, he says that now that you are telling me that wisdom or knowledge is greater than karma, and simultaneously you are asking me to engage in a karma, and that also a horrible kind of a karma, which is war. And then he goes on to say that my mind is confused. You are confusing me. You are telling me two things simultaneously. Please direct me to just one simple thing, and so that my confusion is, set away. To this, Krishna, he replies. He said that when I put forth creation through ancient times, I set out two paths for souls to come back to me or to gain realization of their self and truth. And both these paths, karma and jnana, are required by the human being. And then he goes on to say that you cannot renounce actions because you cannot attain perfection in this life by renouncing actions. And if you want to reach the state of actionlessness, that is absolute existence, then you will have to travel through the path of multiple actions. Through work, you can go to actionlessness. And in the fifth shloka, he said that since you are born of Prakriti and you are bound by the gunas, therefore every person, each one of us is bound to some action, whether we want it or not, whether we like it or not. There is some action that we will have to perform, and we are performing all the time. For example, even when we are sitting, we are still breathing, we are still thinking. When we are walking, we are performing action. When we are eating, we are performing actions. So at every moment in time, we are performing certain actions, and this is determined by the modes of Prakriti, and we cannot set ourselves free from all of this arrangement. It is only the jnani, the one who attains steady wisdom, the one who attains enlightenment, can transcend all actions and go into the state of actionlessness. So that does that mean that if we are not jnanis so far, then what should we do? Where should we go? Should we be discouraged by this? No, not at all. In fact, this is giving us a clear directions. We are at a point where we think that we are these little minds and bodies, and we think we are living in this world, and we have to perform action. So that is what Krishna is saying. Do perform action. We are used to performing actions. We are bound by certain actions of Prakriti, in the sense that even against our will, a person who's a scholar wants to just keep reading more and more books and gain more and more knowledge. A person who is in business, and even when he gets tired of his business activities, he still is forced to continue to do his business activities. Same for the idle person. He has no choice but to keep wandering idly, or maybe being lazy, or just sleeping. All of this has developed in us because one thing is that we are bound to the modes of nature, the gunas. But second is that we have created these habit patterns, these thought processes and actions in ourselves in past lifetimes. And these are like chains which bind us. So if we want to get ourselves free from this, firstly, we have to realize that we are bound. Secondly, we have to cancel all the past bad habits, the past karma that we have created, with present good habits. And once we perform the good karma right now, and we know the highest karma is meditation. So once we are doing good karma right now, that will start to purify our mind. And once the mind is purified, that purified mind will easily reflect the truth of the absolute of Satchidananda, and thereby we will be able to become Jivan Muktas in this life. So this is what we have studied so far in this chapter, and we shall now begin with shloka number 6, chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. This is what it says. Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimoodatma मिथ्याचार स उच्यते। वह व्यक्ति जो बलपूर्वक कर्मेंद्रियों का नियंत्रण करता है, परंतु जिसका मन इंद्रिय विषयों के विचारों में घूमता है, उसे पाखंडी कहा जाता है। वह स्वयं को धोखा देता है। The individual who forcibly controls the organs of action, but whose mind rotates around thoughts of sense objects is said to be a hypocrite, deluding himself. So the Gita is itself using such strong words as hypocrite. So what in the verse means hypocrite is mithyachara. So what is being said here, and let us understand what Paramahansa Yogananda, how he explains it. So of course, if we just keep our organs of action in control, but if we do not attain control of the mind, then what happens is that if you are thinking of a desire, thinking of an attachment, thinking of a craving again and again, even in your mind, then whatever outer control that you have put on your organs of actions or on senses will one day break, because mind is a more powerful force than the sense organs. In fact, the sense organs in themselves are inert. It's only because the mind and the prana are moving through them, that is why they become active, alive, and they perform certain actions. So just by controlling outwardly the sense organs and the organs of action without controlling the mind cannot really fully help us, because it will not help us to fight and win the inner battle, and just it will help us to, maybe yes, that does not mean that we do not practice an outward control, but that is only the starting point. Eventually we have to come to the point where we gain mastery of our own mind, where our self control is so strong that even when the thoughts are arising. So for example, if you're trying to control the sensual thoughts, then of course in your environment you stop being in the company of people who are thinking sensuous thought. You will stop reading material that invokes these thoughts. You will stop watching on TV material that invokes these thoughts. You will not hear those sounds that will invoke these thoughts. So definitely at the level of the sense organs you will do this, but even in your mind the yogi will be alert enough that when the thought of lust or craving is arising in the mind, that wave is arising, the yogi will be able to watch that wave, and then he can do two things with the wave. Either he can become a witness, take a mental step back and watch the wave arise and cease. The other thing is, if he's not able to work as a witness and see the activities of the mind as just arising and ceasing, what he can do is use the pranic energy, use life force to divert that same energy into something positive. Maybe you can then, if that kind of energy is arising in you, then you can do some creative work, like you may go into art, you may do some physical exercises, you may do some breathing techniques. So something to solidly and powerfully turn your energy into another direction, which is going to be more constructive. So why is a lustful energy not constructive? Firstly, it keeps you body bound. Secondly, it keeps the energy in the lower chakras. And we know, if we know the anatomy and physiology of the yogic or the astral body, we know that we need to raise our energy up to the higher chakras. Only then we will be able to free ourselves from this body bound inclination, and we free ourselves from the thought that, oh, I am this body, I am this mind, and this is the only life that I am leading. So therefore it is important, and that's what Krishna is saying, that only if you are just controlling outwards but inside you are fantasizing, then you are nothing but a hypocrite. So it is good to be sincere in your efforts. Now this does not mean that the person who is just beginning his meditations will not get such thoughts. It's natural. Why? Because we have performed certain actions and thoughts, and we have been body bound for so many lives that it has become our conditioning. It has become our second nature. So what will help? Persistence will help. So the yogi therefore is not only alert, but is always persisting in his effort. Always try to control whenever the energy, craving energy is arising for any object of this world, and you know that the desires of this world will never end and this is just a waste of time and energy. Your intellect knows that. Once you realize all of that, then be aware and alert all the time. Transform your energy by the practice of pranayama, by the practice of kriya yoga, by the practice of other meditation techniques. Transform your thought process, transform your life force, bring more harmony into your life force, and you will find that it is easy to transcend these desires or these cravings, and therefore be persistent, be unceasing in your effort. And of course, this does not mean that you're going to be a race horse all the time. Yes, there will be days when you cannot practice as much control, but at least set your direction correct. Once you know that you have to go in this direction of sense control, and even if you fall down someday, if you fail someday, don't say to yourself that, oh, I have failed, and don't feel guilty and ashamed. Just say, I have not succeeded yet, but I know this is my direction, I know this is my goal, and I want to be a Jivan Mukta in this lifetime, and I will do my best. And we know, and Guruji has told us, that God will never let you down if your effort is in the right direction. If your heart is in there, if you're sincere in your practices, then God will come and help you. So just keep your direction right and keep moving in that direction, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. But if you are yearning to be free in this life, then might as well accelerate your journey a little bit, I would say. Okay, so Master gives specific steps. He says, in overcoming a temptation or a bad habit, what can you do? So first he says, convince your mind, giving the reasons to abandon the evil habits. So be rational with your mind, because your mind and intellect have this tendency of giving you reasons. Therefore, you now as a soul, as the owner of this body mind complex, you give the mind logical reasons why you should not be indulging in bad habits and why you should be converting the energy into a positive side. Then he says, reject the thought of temptation as they appear. And third, he says, relinquish the habitual actions. So yes, at all levels, we will have to work with our conscious mind, with our subconscious mind. And when we do pranayam and meditation, we are also in touch with the superconsciousness, which can truly help us to get out of this set of evil habit patterns or attitudes or tendencies or attachments. Okay. The Gita warns one against such mental inconsistencies as hypocrisy, but it does not say that because of a lack of inner self-control, outer restraint should be given up. Outer restraint should ideally be preceded and accompanied by inner discipline. And then it says that for a beginner, it is not hypocrisy if he tries to meditate on the outward level, but is not able to control his mind, which is true for all beginners, that you put your body in the meditative pose, you're trying to focus on the breath, you're trying to focus on the spiritual eye, and you want to still your mind, but of course it's not happening. It's still not under your control. So trying your best is not hypocrisy. So only just showing to the world means showing that you are a sannyasi from outside, and yet on the inside indulging in the thoughts of this world or the objects of this world, the sense pleasures of this world. That is what is hypocrisy. So it's all right. Keep trying. Even if you fail, as in you fall short of the goal of controlling your thoughts, that's all right. Why? Because the mind is more difficult to control than the wind. It is going to take time. It is not an overnight thing. But again, if your direction is correct, you will definitely make it. Then Guruji says, this highest form of action, meaning meditation, will harmonize the restless mental state with calm physical poise. When the mind and body are both quietened by yoga, the devotee quickly advances towards the joyous state of spirit. Okay. This brings us to the next shloka, shloka number 7, chapter 3. Yastvindriyani mansa niyam yarabhterjuna karmendriye karma yogam asakta samvishishyate. परंतु हे अर्जुन, वह मनुष्य अत्यधिक सफल होता है जो मन द्वारा इंद्रियों को अनुशासित करके अनासक्त होकर अपनी कर्मेंद्रियों को ईश्वर से संयुक्त करने वाले कार्यों के पथ पर दृढ़ता से लगाए रखता है. But that man succeeds supremely, O Arjuna, who disciplining the senses by the mind, unattached, keeps his organs of activity steadfast on the path of God uniting actions. So here is the answer to our question, and here is a clear direction by Krishna. So I will read this shloka again with the important points. He's saying, Krishna is saying that you can be supremely successful if, number one, you are able to discipline your senses by your mind. Secondly, you are able to remain unattached. Thirdly, you are able to do only those activities that unite you to God. So if you are doing all of this in the manner prescribed, and Guruji will tell us how to go about it, then you will be successful supremely. In what kind of success? Success is, of course, happiness, unconditional happiness all the time. Success is moksha, means salvation from all suffering. Success is knowing and understanding that my nature is of the soul, which is infinite, eternal, and immortal. Okay, so what Master is saying here, he says that a person who is moving towards enlightenment, so he will perform the duties of this world, whatever God-given duties are right in front of him. He will engage in all those duties because we cannot remain without action, as it was said. So we will do those duties, but we will do them in an unattached way. So unattached way means not attaching or expecting a specific fruit of action from the duties that we are doing. So we will do the duties because they need to be fulfilled. We will do the duties because anyway we have to work in this world. So we might as well fulfill the needs of this body and mind and the people we are responsible for. But we will not be attached. We will not expect any specific result, and we will do them with a controlled senses. So for example, even if there is tasty food in front of me, I will practice sense control and I will eat only as much as needed by my body for my body to function in an optimum way. I will not go along with my taste sensation and overeat. Same thing is with viewing something. If you are reading a book and you are gaining knowledge out of it, but if you are just addicted to more and more reading without even thinking what kind of substances or data you are putting inside your mind, then therefore you will draw a line. You will draw a line and do the needful. You will use the same sense organs that you are using right now, but you will use them to a limit that serves your purpose of self-realization. Because once our goal of self-realization is set, we will have to do the tapasya of controlling our senses from running out into the world all the time. So automatically we will practice self-control. And is practicing that self-control going to be a punishment? No. Because we know that only if we practice this sense control, even only if we can remove this, utilize this available energy into a higher search for truth, into higher practices which take us to higher states of consciousness, only then we will be able to attain a bliss which is beyond all sorrow. Therefore, don't think of sense control as punishment, rather think of sense control as an investment. So just like you cannot draw out any money from the bank if you have not deposited money in the bank in the first place. Similarly, you cannot draw out peace from life if you have not invested your time and energy in creating and developing that peace, in perceiving that peace within yourself. So first you have to put in the effort. And And even while you are putting an effort, it should not be, you should not do it grim-faced. Do it happily, do it joyously, do it willingly. Cooperate with the divine plan, cooperate with divine grace. Invoke the presence of God and the Gurus as you are working. That would be karma yoga. And then, of course, not expect specific result out of that. So if a sincere man performs duties in such a manner, then he is on the path to karma yoga, means God uniting activity, that this will eventually purify his mind and will take him to the state of Jivan Mukta. The devotee controls the mind by meditation and turns it Godward. He is unattached to the fruits of action, whether they are worldly actions or spiritual actions. So then even when we are meditating, we are offering the fruits of action to God. We allow him to give to us whatever he feels is correct for us. So we cannot say, God, I want to see only one particular color in my meditation. I have to see your face like this. I want to hear this sound during my meditation. I want to be able to read other people's thoughts. I want to gain such and such power in my meditation. No. We will offer each and every act of meditation at the feet of the infinite with a loving heart and a sincere effort without expecting a specific return. God is our father, mother, friend, and beloved, and let him decide what is best for us. He will give to us those visions, those experiences that will help us to evolve further on the spiritual path. And also, it is very important that even if we do develop certain visions or do develop certain powers on the spiritual meditative journey, then all those powers or siddhis are talked of as traps on the spiritual path. Why are they traps? When so many siddhis are available, why should we not work to attain those siddhis? Is very simple, is because those siddhis can trap you in ego. The moment you start to think that, oh, I am becoming advanced spiritually, I am this powerful person, I am able to accomplish so and so, I am able to magnetize everything that I want to myself, I am able to read other people's minds, so I am now powerful. So this is the trap. As long as you think that I as a separate entity exists, that belief system is totally against your goal of self-realization. So your energy will go downward eventually. The aim is to free yourself from limitation, to make yourself as the omnipresence of God, which is your true nature. Your true nature is the nature of the soul, which is already all-pervading, which is already immortal and the light. Do not limit it by any little or big power that comes on the way. It may come, let it be there, acknowledge its presence, but move ahead. The important thing is to offer whatever comes to you, offer it back to the infinite, offer it back to God. And keep your organs of action engaged in the highest duties, which is the highest duty, as Guruji says, is the act of meditation. The meditation techniques like Kriya Yoga, meditation techniques like Om technique, Hong Sau technique, affirmation. So all the whole day of your life should be filled with techniques which can elevate your consciousness. And Swamiji would say, every good thought will elevate your consciousness. Every good thought will raise your Kundalini. So when I say that 24 hours you should be engaged in technique, does not mean that there is this, specific technique that you have to be practicing throughout the day, and you have to be somber, and you have to be grave, and you have to think that, okay, now let me do this, and now let me do that. That way you cannot function. It just means practicing the presence of God 24/7. And this can be done in a variety of ways. This can be done by prayer, this can be done by japa, this can be done by affirmation, this can be done even by physical hatha yoga practice, it can be done by practicing energization exercises, it can be done by loving others. Whatever client comes to you, seeing that person as God, that is also practicing the presence of God. And of course, meditation and all the techniques of meditation are a direct way of perceiving the presence of God in your life. Okay. So here there's a caution here. Master says that on the one hand we are saying that do not act. So on the other hand, it appears that the person who is meditating is not acting. So for most people, they would say, why are you not acting in this world? Why are you just sitting on one side? What will you accomplish just by sitting at one side? So Master says, although meditation appears as a withdrawal from activity, because one needs to still the body, but actually deep meditation is intense mental activity. It is the highest form of action. Through the divine science of Kriya Yoga, the advanced yogi is able to withdraw his mind from the senses and direct their subtle astral powers to the inner activities of soul freeing work. Such a spiritual specialist performs true God uniting activity, that is Karma Yoga. Okay. So this brings us to the next shloka, which is shloka number 8. नियतं कुरु कर्म त्वं कर्म ज्यायो हया कर्मण शरीर यात्रापि च तेन प्रसिद्धयेद कर्मणा. जो कर्तव्य कर्म है उन्हें तुम अवश्य करो, क्योंकि कर्म करना निष्क्रियता से श्रेष्ठतर है. निष्क्रियता से तुम्हारे शरीर का साधारण पालन पोषण भी असंभव हो जाएगा. Perform thou those actions that are obligatory, for action is better than inactivity. Even simple maintenance of thy body would be impossible through inaction. So this is a kind of a continuation of shloka number 5. So in shloka number 5, Krishna says to Arjuna that inactivity is not possible because you are bound to the modes of Prakriti and you are bound to the gunas. So you inevitably have to act. Now here he is saying that definitely activity is better than inactivity. And activity, what kind of activity? God uniting activity. Means in a worldly sense, the duties that you are obligated to do, and in a spiritual sense, the meditative actions that you need to do. So they are better than inactivity. Why? Because even the simple sustenance and maintenance of this body that you are given is not possible by inactivity, because the body is endowed with hunger. If you have hunger, then you have to do something to procure food. And of course, the human way of procuring food is doing kind of a job and getting money out of it, and then through the money arranging for food. So that is the human way, but you have to act. And if you have to act, so even if you have to fulfill a basic need as hunger, then you will do something. And if that something is in alignment and harmony with the universal plan, it is in accordance to righteousness, only then the fruit will be good. If what you are doing is against the harmony of the universe, then what you will get is a demerit. And of course, the result of the demerit is going to be sorrow. So we have to act. We must act in the righteous way. And more dutiful than worldly action is that spiritual action. So, this work is also directional. So act in a way that you remain free within. And the best way to stay free within is to do everything that you need to do, but give God the responsibility of the doership, which is actually the truth. The truth is that God is doing everything through us. We have not created this body. We are not causing it to sustain, to work in the way it is working. We are unable to digest the food by ourselves. We are unable to breathe by ourselves. The energy that is flowing through this body, the intelligence that is flowing through this body has not been created by us. So the work that is this body mind is doing right now in this world has not been created by us. This world has not been created by us. So in any case, God is the doer. If we can recognize the doership of God in everything that is happening, and yet we are able to do our best. If we do not do our best, then we are not going to enjoy this life. So God is the doer, but in this drama, it is appearing that we are doing something. And if we do something actively, joyfully, willingly, then what will happen? We are going to feel happy. So if we want to gain happiness, out of this life that we are living, that we think is ours, then we need to do activity which is in synchronicity with the righteousness or dharmic principles of this universe. Then not only can we be happy as we are living, but also we can be free and go to the state of actionlessness once this life is over. So it is up to us. So the choice remains with us. We are all powerful. Do not underestimate the power of your choice, the power of your free will, and the power to decide which way you want to go, which kind of work you want to choose, what attitude you want to put into the work as you are working, how do you want to, behave with others, do you want to love others or not. So everything is under your control. Are you exercising your free choice? Is a very important question that I need to ask myself. And most of the people on the planet are right now complaining. They are in the mode of complaint. That is serving no good purpose. If you are complaining, then you can neither see that this drama is being staged by God, you cannot neither derive education from this drama, nor can you derive entertainment from this drama. So therefore, act conscientiously, act lovingly, act willingly, act joyously, add to the flavor of this world. Be that, realize that you are playing this role and then play to the fullest, so that, just like a theatrical performance, you really enjoy when the actor is putting really the heart and mind and passionately they are playing the role. And yet the actor always remembers that it is only a temporary role. Same is for us. We must remember that we are immortal souls. We are God's children. We are the light itself. Temporarily, we are playing these roles through these bodies and minds. These are only temporary. But if we do not want to play again and again and again, then also the path is given to us. We need to do karma yoga, and then we need to have jnana yoga. Of course, bhakti will also have its place. So we are given the direction. Let us follow the footsteps of the great ones. Okay. So then Guruji, a little more, he goes into the explanation of this shloka. He says, in his absolute nature, God transcends all the activity of creation, yet he works in every atomic cell of this vast body of the physical cosmos. So this appears to be a paradoxical statement, but it is not. So what Master is saying is that although God is transcendent, but he is also immanent. So transcendent would be beyond creation, and immanent would be in and through all creation. Now God is both. So for example, if we take the example of gold and ornaments, so we may have a necklace, a bangle, a ring, a tiara, and we may think that, oh, this has a particular function, this has a particular name, and this is how it is used. But all of those ornaments are pervaded by gold and nothing but gold. And yet gold is not a different or separate ornament. Gold has its existence even apart from the ornaments. It exists whether or not the ornament is made out of it. Same is the example with clay and pots. Clay exists even when you do not create pottery out of it. But when you create pottery out of it, then all the jugs, all the flasks, all that you create out of that clay is pervaded by clay. Same example stands for wood and furniture. You may have a table, you may have a chair, you may have, a beautiful side stand, but eventually it is all pervaded by wood. So it's just that we forget this truth, that wood can exist even without a specific furniture item, whether it exists or not. But without wood, none of the furniture can exist. So wood, in a sense, as far as furniture is concerned, is both transcendent, means can exist without the things which are made out of it, and immanent, means it is present in and through all the things that are made out of wood. So similarly, Brahman, similarly God, the creator, is transcendent, and yet he is immanent in every atom of creation. The power of the creator runs through that. And of course, in Hindu mythology, we have Shiva and Shakti, we have Ram and Sita, we have Krishna and Radha. these depict these truths, that something, for example, Shiva will be that absolute reality of stillness, and Shakti is the movement and creation that happens. So unless the Shiva and Shakti come together, the universe is not created, it is not put forth into existence. And it's when the pralaya comes, or when the withdrawal of creation comes, then Shakti withdraws into Shiva, and they come to one absolute existence. Now, do not get confused by thinking that Krishna as a form is different avatar, Ram is a different avatar, Shiv is something else. Eventually, we are talking of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in terms of that one universe and its principles. So we have to move from the form to the formless, because eventually the truth is absolute existence, consciousness, and bliss. These mythological figures are given to us because in our limited understanding of body mind, we can only perceive a person who looks like us. So we need a human figure in the form of Ram. And of course, these are historical truths as well. But yet, the infinite, formless, silent God, he comes in the form of a human to explain to us the higher truths. And the Guru is such a form which comes in front of our eyes, and he gives his teachings, and he helps us to understand the infiniteness of the universe and our own infinite nature. So again, in Sanskrit or in Hindi, this is Nirgun Brahman, means the formless God, and the Sagun Brahman, or the God with form. Okay. So as we were saying, that not all actions will be purifying, and therefore we must perform only actions which are dutiful, which are necessary, which are elevating, which are causing an expansion of consciousness. Okay. When one acts only to please God, he has achieved the real or spiritual inactive state that is free from both obligatory duties and from karmic bondage resulting from actions. The highest dutiful activity, therefore, consists in practicing those methods of meditation through which the devotee is ultimately freed from worldly karmas. To become a renunciate and forsake meditative activities as well as worldly activities will not free one from identification with the body and its prenatal karmic tendencies. The inactive man, therefore, does not do his duty to his creator or to the society that maintains him. But the yogi, now the yogi may be a monastic and a yogi may be a householder. The yogi who does his duty to God and also to the world through some form of service is the highly evolved type of being. He becomes a master by such dutiful action. He attains the supreme inactive state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is free from karmic effects of actions and is filled with the bliss of spirit. So this is where we want to be. Now we come to shloka number 9. And things will get a little mystical and metaphysical from shloka number 9 to 12. And Master has gone into deep explanations. Let's just dive into this. So verse 9 says, Yagyarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. सांसारिक व्यक्ति ऐसे कर्मों से बंधे होते हैं जो यज्ञ यानी धार्मिक रीति के रूप में किए जा रहे कर्मों से भिन्न होते हैं। हे कौन्तेय, यज्ञ की भावना रखकर तुम अनासक्त होकर प्रयास करो, कर्मों को आहुतियों के रूप में अर्पण करो। Worldly people are karmically bound by activities that differ from those performed as religious rites or yajna. O son of Kunti, Arjun, labor thou, non-attached, in the spirit of yajna, offering actions as oblations. Now, a new word has been introduced here, and that is yajna. For those who have been following the Arya Samaj way of living, know what a yajna or a spiritual or sacrificial fire rite means, and how oblations are offered into the fire. So, but what Krishna is saying here, that you must offer all actions as oblation. So let us first understand what is yajna. So yajna is an act of dedicated service. Yajna is a meditative activity. Besides this, Master says, if you see the whole comprehensive view, then yajna is not only the fire in which you put oblations, but it is also the oblations, and it is also the act of offering. So something like when we say that knowing, knower, knowledge is one, means the person who is knowing, the act of knowing, and the object of knowledge, they are actually one God, there is one Brahman. Similarly, here it is being said that yajna is all of it. The deity to whom you are offering is also yajna. The fire in which you are offering is also yajna. The act of offering is also yajna. And of course, the person who is offering is also part of that yogic or yajna activity. But not everybody does sacrificial fire rites. Does everybody do that? No. Then why is Krishna advising here that you must perform all actions as oblations, as an offering, or as yajna? What does this mean? So for this, let us understand that we have come from that absolute creation. From infinite, we have come into a form by an act through Maya, by an act of dividing Maya itself into name, form, function. We have come into separate existence. We are all one, although because of our senses, we do not realize that. Now, our aim on the spiritual journey is to transcend the little I, where we say, okay, I am not this mind, I am not this body, I am the all-pervading Atman. To understand this truth, to go back to the creator, to go back to the source, we have to do something which we have been, our energy has been coming from into the brain, down the spinal cord, through our organs of actions into this world. Now, if we want to go back the reverse way and be united with our creator, then we have to reverse the flow of energy. This we do in the meditative action. But even in other actions, if we are practicing karma yoga and if we are serving others, for example, then also when we give any service to another person, we give it as an offering to the infinite, recognizing the presence of God even in that person. So in that case, whatever you do, whatever action you do, it becomes an offering to the creator. And this is true for any field of activity. So if you are a student and if you are gaining knowledge, then firstly you have to understand that whatever book you are reading has been written by some author. That author has been created by God. The knowledge that that author is transmitting through his writing is also coming from that infinite creator. And eventually all of this stream of energy, intellect, movement is coming from God. So therefore the knowledge that the student is acquiring is coming from the infinite nature of God. And that knowledge we should be, it should be a pleasure and honor for us to gain knowledge of even of this world, because all knowledge eventually belongs to God. So even when we are studying, and then after having acquired some knowledge, after having acquired a skill or a talent, when we use this to serve others, then again we must do it in this bhav or attitude of thinking that we are giving this back to the universe from where we have gained it. We are giving it back to the creator, who is the original source of all that exists. So if we realize this truth all the time, then automatically all the actions that we perform will become a dedication, an offering, an oblation to the creator, a creator who is all loving. So don't forget that as you are doing all of these things, don't think that God is some other entity to whom you are bound to give something. But if you think of God as a loving friend, a loving parent, a beloved, then you would want to do things for the Lord. When you make God personal in your life, He is impersonal and personal both. We said He is transcendent and He is immanent. So He is beating through your heart, He is breathing through your breath, He is the love through the relatives that are loving you. He's the one who loves you. So He is present everywhere. So whenever you do offer your actions to God, do it lovingly and do it out of love. That will make you free even in the moment, and that will give you joy even in the moment as you are performing in actions. Just like parents love to do things for their children, just like lovers love to do things for their beloved, same way, think of God as your lover, as your beloved, as even maybe a child, as a parent. And then as you offer each action to Him, do so with love. And in that moment itself, you will be set free. And it is important, therefore, to remember this. Now we forget this. Now think of your 24 hours in the past. Did you perform any action in which you remembered God completely and sincerely offered that action to God? Did you recognize that behind every action that you did was the power of God operating? The usual answer is no. I'm sure some of you did, and did it multiple times a day. But for most of us, it is a difficult task. This remembrance has to be brought again and again, and therefore unceasing spiritual practice is what Patanjali advises in his Yoga Sutras, that if you truly want to become one with the infinite, then your practice of whatever spiritual activity you do should be unceasing. Think of God all the time. Before you act, Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, think of God before you act, think of God while you're acting, think of God after you have finished your action. And said, even while you are acting, it's kind of like this, that your one hand should be at the work that you are doing and the other hand should be touching the feet of Divine Mother. And once that action is finished, then both your hands should be touching the feet of Divine Mother. This should be your bhav as you are working in this world. Don't forget, this world is only a temporary place to live. This is not your home. It's because we forget this truth and we think that this life is the only life that is there to live, that and we do not remember who we were in the past. We don't know where we are going in the future. And we are, like horses, we have just this little vision. We are not able to say here and there. But the scripture has come to tell us the truth. The Guru has come to tell us the truth. So remember that this life is a continuum, and therefore behave accordingly. And as you keep giving all your actions to God, everything that you do, whether it's a worldly duty or a spiritual duty, with each action, you will keep purifying your heart and mind, and you yourself are setting yourself free. If you are suffering right now, if there are tears in your eyes right now because of some sorrow in your life, in the past, you have set up yourself for this. Your misunderstanding of this delusional world has set you up for sorrow right now. But your clear understanding and gained wisdom of life, that it is, of this body mind, of God the creator, of this infinite universe, will set you free. So therefore, whatever action that you do right now, an action is from the speech, action is through the body, and action is through the mind. All these actions should be those actions which are uplifting you, which are expanding your consciousness, which are taking you towards God. And once you do that, then it is, the scripture guarantees in a way, and Master says that even 1/100th of what I tell you, if you can do that, you will become Jivan Muktas in this life. And that's what we want, don't we? Okay. Now, Master has gone into a great detail of the types of yajna that a human should perform. So, there are 5 types of yajnas which are given to us to practice, most of which we have forgotten. And here, I will name all of them as given by Master, and you can check in your life whether you are doing those things or not. And if not, we need to fill in the blanks somewhere in our life. Okay, so the first type of offering, he says, is a number of fire offerings are described in the Hindu scriptures as follows. Number 1 is Pitri Yajna, means offering oblations to ancestors, that is in the past, the essence of whose wisdom illumines man today. So offering oblations to our ancestors is been given by in Indian scriptures. Now, whatever we are, even this present body mind state, most of the contribution is because of our ancestors, the DNA that we are carrying in our bodies. Now, for even the financial status that you are in. So, for example, if you are living in a house that your parents built, that it is their huge contribution. If you are running a business that your ancestors were working on, then it is their contribution has been maximized by you. You are using it. This body that you are working with, it is a conglomerate of the DNA from all your ancestors. The thinking process, the samskaras that you have gained, all of that is because your ancestors existed and there is a line of descent coming from there that is causing you to exist right now as it is in this present state. So therefore, you have a duty towards your past. And therefore, the sacrifices that have been given in the Hindu Shastras are supposed to be performed as Pitri Yagya. And it is said that Master, he went on to explain later that even though you are not able to outwardly perform certain sacrifices, but because people around the world, they may not be following Hinduism, they may not be able to do the rituals that have been prescribed, then what can you do, or what should you do when you think of your ancestors, is that you can send them loving thoughts, you can send them thoughts of gratitude, you can send them your joy, and you can send them your blessings. So if you do that from your heart and mind, it is like offering back not only to the line of ancestors, but offering back into the infinite creator. So we must all do these kind of oblations from our mind and heart. And for all those who can do them physically as well, you should go ahead and do them. The second kind of yagya prescribed is the Nri Yagya, N-R-I, Nri Yagya. This is offering food to the hungry. That is the present responsibility of man. Man's duty towards his contemporaries. So the first duty is to your past. Now duty comes to your present. That means service to the present mankind which is around you. It is your duty to feed the hungry. It is your duty to help others. It is your duty to uplift others in whatever way you can. Be a friend to all, love all, give them food if needed, give them education if needed. It is one of the duties which are prescribed for a human being. The animal is not going to do any such duty. But the fact that you are now living through a human body and the fact that you are now seeking liberation, you must perform these duties that are enjoined upon your current existence. The third type of yagya that is given is Bhuta Yagya. And Bhuta Yagya is offering food to the animal kingdom. This is man's obligation to a less evolved form of creation. So even to the animals and even to the plants, offer your gratitude, do something for the animals. Now remember, if you have great grandfathers and grandfathers, grandparents would, before they would eat, they would keep a little food for the sparrow, they would keep a little food for the cow, they would keep a little water for animals around. And that before they would eat, they would do that. But we have somehow forgotten all of that. We don't care whether animal or plant species even exist around us, and we do not even realize their importance. Now, how many of us, when we are drinking a glass of milk or having cheese or any milk product, ghee, butter, cheese, milk, do we remember that it is coming from a cow or a buffalo? Do we have even a thought of that being because of which we are being nourished? We are only thinking of how to make it more tasty, how to add more chocolate to the milk. This is not good, that is not good, this is causing me allergy. We are not bothered from where it has come. The entire cow and buffalo species who is nourishing us, all the children on the planet. And nobody is bothered about their well-being. Nobody cares how they are existing and how the milk is being brought from them. It is not sattvic anymore. So one thought of gratitude to the one who is providing food to you. Then when we are even while, in our daily lives, as we are breathing, we do not even give 1 second of thought that the air that I am breathing, the oxygen that I am getting in, is because of the plant kingdom around me. Am I ever thankful to the plant kingdom? Because of them I am sustaining myself. We don't even think. It's easy to cut trees. It's easy to just make, jungles of concrete, forgetting that our lungs are actually partly outside ourselves. So where are we? Who are we? What have we become in this material existence? We must ask these serious questions to ourselves. And according to the Shastras, we have a duty towards lesser evolved beings like animals and plants. Are we fulfilling those kind of duties? If not, we must start. Our kindness should start, even for plants, even for animals. Do take from the universe only as much you need from the universe. Do not be greedy and be thankful always. So the fourth kind of yajna is the Deva Yajna. So not only do we offer oblations to lesser evolved beings, Master says that there are higher evolved beings like angels. They exist. They are the Devas, they exist. And therefore, certain sacrifices, certain pujas are performed, certain rituals are performed to give offerings to the Devas. So, of course, when we offer food to the Devas, they do not eat physical food, but they do understand the love, the attitude, the bhav that we are giving to them. Are we calling the gods and goddesses, the deities, with love? Or are we just calling them to say, please give me this, please give me that, I need this, I am this person, I am so sorry, I am a victim, and kind of, what is our attitude? What are we? So just in the sense of, have a true perspective of our existence, the true ratio and proportion of this infinite universe and ourselves. We have become so selfish that we have forgotten everything else. So yes, and it is said that angels and devis and devatas, gods and goddesses, they are helping us all the time. If you call upon them, they are always there to help you. So it is our duty of also to offer prayers to them, to call upon them with love, to give our love to them, to humbly bow down to them. This is part of our duty, and this is called the Deva Yajna. And then Master says that a person who is able to perform these duties to his past, to his present, to higher beings, to lower beings, is then fit to perform the final type of yajna or offering, and that is called the Brahma Yajna. And of course, this Brahma Yajna is the offering of himself to the infinite and performing every action, performing every breath as an offering, as a giving to the infinite universe which has created us. We have to and we must give it back if we want to unite ourselves with the infinite God who is also our own expanded self. There is no shortcut to this. And all of this, don't see it as a burden. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. What should I do? If you do every little thing with love, then you have attained your goal right now, right here. Because love is that bhav, which is not only the goal, but it is also the journey. So do whatever you are doing, if you do with love, if you are interacting with animals, interacting with plants, interacting with humans, if you are praying to the Lord, if you are, remembering your ancestors, if you're doing your daily work, if you do everything with love, because God is love and love is God, then you are fulfilling the law in a way. And this can take you to greater freedom, because eventually bhakti will take you into gyan, and gyan will take you into love. So all of this karma, jnana, bhakti, they are all interconnected, and God is one, and we are an inseparable part of that infinite. And the Gita is such a great and beautiful scripture. It tells us what to do, how to be happy as we live this life, and how to gain that infinite bliss of final freedom in emancipation. So with this thought, may God bless us to achieve the goal that the Gita points at. Let us share the powerful blessings of these teachings and the joy with souls everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, beloved Lord Krishna, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Om. 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 Divine Mother, beloved Lord Krishna. May thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all true hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.